We now have again two commentators in response to this presentation. Let me welcome Professor Angela Bracco from the University of Milano. She has also been a member of the RIKEN Advisory Council, evaluating our overall activities and giving advice. Professor Bracco, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, first of all, for the invitation. I really enjoyed this symposium. And so I want to make some comments in relation to what is the discussion within the International Advisory Committee of RIKEN, and of course with the European connection, and in particular, of course, with the Nishina Center. Okay, let me say that in the last committee, we have, of course, noted a list of very excellent research and actions that are being taking place in RIKEN. But now I want to concentrate on a few of them in relation to the Nishina Center. So, of course, the committee was very impressed for all the initiatives that are on artificial intelligence, high-performance computing, and interdisciplinary collaboration. For the major issue of be responsive to societal need, RIKEN does a lot of interesting and high-level research, and in particular, as you have seen already, even in the previous talk, there is a very, let's say, impactful activity on the nuclear waste disposal, but also on the ion beam breeding. That is also very important for the application to society. But now I want to stress the comments that were made according to the accelerator physics at the Nishina Center, that, as you have seen, has really gained a very high international recognition. And we noted that the plan for expansion that we were just discussing the last slide before of Sakurai are really well conceived and in particular worldwide unique, and they exploit well the existing competence and unique competence that is available at the Nishina Center. Of course, the high impact of the discovery of the neodymium was really also stressed in our report, and this is really a starting point to keep the, let's say, the impact, the scientific impact of the center also in the future. So an important issue is now is this moved? No. How can I move the next? Can you go to the next slide? Okay, now it is. Yes, please. Okay, so now an important issue, of course, is the connection with the other facilities that both in Europe and around the world are carrying out research in the same field. Of course, the research is in the same field, but the approach is in terms of type of production mechanism, type of investigation with beam energies and also instrumentation are really very complementary. And on the other hand, there are also synergies, and these are well exploited, in particular in the instrumentation. You have seen that in the previous talk that there are a lot of Europeans that are carrying out research at the Nishina Center, bringing some of the instrumentation that is either developed for specific measurement at Nishina or will be used also in the European facilities. So in a sense, the Nishina Center also contribute to novel idea and R&D in the detector system. The upgrade, I think, is very important and unique. And because we'll keep the high standard in the research to study the nucleosynthesis, so the nuclear science in the cosmos, production of radioactive isotope, that is also very important for many societal application, super heavy element, and also for other accelerator applications. And it will be very important to continue also in the future the sharing of instrument. You have seen a big, many pictures of the instrument in the previous talk that are brought from European and also from Americans to the Nishina Center. And this is very important both for the technical aspect, but also for the scientific program, because this sharing of competence will really bring also new ideas that are useful for both Japan and the European facilities. And of course, the uniqueness on the Nishina Center is really related to, as I mentioned, to beam intensity instrumentation, and also the fact that the discussion on the program are carried out in collaboration and discussed, like NuPECC, this will be the next talk, or the IUPAP Working Group 9, where all the activity are somehow compared. I want to raise my last point that is very important. Let me move to the next transparency. Can you move to the next? Okay. That is really an important action to ensure what we call the sustainability. And this is really to make an effort to ensure that the tradition of scientific excellence is carried forward also to the next generation. So we noted that in RIKEN, there are very powerful, let's say, program that are moving in this direction, that are really to empower young talent. And this initiative are really for attracting young scientists and also enhancing diversity. And there are also action to promote networking and to create a supportive environment for foreign researchers. And this is also the case also on the Nishina Center. I like to point out that last November, as an advisory committee, we had interviewed via Zoom some of these young researchers, both in chemistry, physics, biology. And what is important to point out that they see a future in research, both related to what they're doing. And this future is not only in the, let's say, in the academic, but also in industry. So these special postdoctoral programs, they really give opportunity to create, to give let's say, a strong base to create for new ideas and to create independency. Of course, this is possible because of the modern infrastructure that are available. And this, of course, is the case also for the Nishina Center. So I think we all express satisfaction in this special program and also the interviews were very useful for us. We also noted, as a last remark, that in this period, difficult period of COVID-19, in the development of young talent, there was really a special attention to the young generation. So I think that altogether with, let's say, attention to the young generation and also in the promotion, in the, let's say, in the preparation, as it was mentioned, for the future expansion, I see a very brilliant future and also the possibility to strengthen the European collaboration or in general international collaboration. With this, I'm closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your engagement with RIKEN Advisory Council and valuable comments. Another commentator is Professor Marek Lewitowicz from GANIL in France. He is currently the chair of the Nuclear Physics European Collaboration Committee, NuPECC, where Nishina Center is an associate member. So Professor Lewitowicz, please.
Thank you very much for the invitation and for this opportunity to share some remarks on behalf of the nuclear physics community in Europe, and also on behalf of NuPECC. Okay, I'm trying to see the slides. Thank you. So the one word on NuPECC itself. NuPECC is the Nuclear Physics European Collaboration Committee, which is the expert board of the nuclear physics for nuclear physics, hosted by the European Scientific Foundation. So it's representing about 6,000 scientists, and the composition of the committee is shown on the slide, with the representatives from the most of the European countries where nuclear physics research is done. Then we have also a pleasure to have among the members three nuclear physics infrastructures, namely FER in Germany, MIRA in Belgium, and Spiral 2 in France. The members are also Joint Institute for Nuclear Research in Dubna, and the Theory Center at TCT Star in Trento in Italy. And as you can see, we are really proud to have four very important associated members with CERN Israeli Temba Labs and the Nishina Center. And this already underlines the strong links, which were already mentioned in the previous talks, between the European nuclear physics community and Nishina Center and RIKEN in general. Next slide, please. So these links are clearly seen through the collaborations which we have. So participation, mutual participation of the collaborations in the experiments in Nishina Center, but also in the European centers of Japanese colleagues. And as it was already mentioned, the instrumentation, which was, I think, very visible in the experiments at RIBF. And you have seen some photos of the detectors, mainly the neutron charged particle gamma ray detectors, which were brought from Europe. One example is the neutron array, which was brought from FER facility, which is under construction for the experiments at RIKEN. And after the series of experiments, we'll go back to FER once the beams are available. So this is really a very important example of synergies, which are between the nuclear physics communities and in different centers, moving the best, the high-level instrumentation from one center to another, where the experimental conditions are the best for some particular studies. But the Nishina Center is also an important participant in the European projects funded by EU. In recently finished ANSAR-2 project, it was a dedicated MOU signed between the Nishina Center and the project, which allowed for the mutual participation of scientists in the experiments in Europe and in Japan. And we are really happy that the new project in the framework of Horizon Europe, called Eurolabs, was recently accepted, and for the next few years will allow for the support of users, exchange of expertise, and RIKEN is one of the important overseas participants in this ambitious project. Next slide, please. But I think the general statements can be illustrated, and I put one example of the collaboration, which I think was very much successful. Okay, some logos disappeared on this slide, but you should see on the top the logo of Nishina Center on the left, Triumph, which you see from Canada, and Munich University from Europe, as well as GANIL, which is not shown here. And the example is telling that in one single experiment at RIBF, which lasts 10 days, with advanced instrumentation, again coming both from RIKEN, like brick grips, and Europe, Eureka, and Wasabi, it was possible to discover 8 new very exotic isotopes, produced 12 publications, highly ranked journals, 3 PhD theses, and obtained really huge amount of very detailed spectroscopic information close to the double magic nucleostine 100. Next slide. And let me finish these few remarks telling that without any doubts, RIKEN with Nishina Center is the important partner of European nuclear physics community, and it will stay with the new projects, of course, on both sides, with the long tradition of successful collaboration. In March this year, NuPECC will launch a new long-range plan for nuclear physics in Europe, and the role of RIKEN with Nishina Center will be emphasized definitely in this new long-range plan. And let me finish with, I think, what's important and very much adequate for this symposium, the information that the United Nations General Assembly adopted last December, the resolution proclaiming 2022 as the International Year of Basic Science for Sustainable Development. And what we have seen already in this symposium, RIKEN with all beautiful activities, both related to basic science and sustainable development, I can naturally find the place in this important celebration of the International Year. And I will be happy to construct and propose the events which can be a part of this International Year for Basic Science for Sustainable Development. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And thank you also mentioning our participation in the new project, Eurolabs, under the Horizon Europe. Potential participation in other calls on research infrastructure under Horizon Europe is something we'd like to explore. So that's a promising thing.